So first off, we're going to do surface set target, and this is basically saying what do we want to draw on. And so we got surf screen. Then later we have surface reset target. This is once we're all done with the drawing on the surface, then we reset the target to the screen so it can actually draw on the screen, because if we kept it on the surface it would never draw anything to the screen. Player would not know what the heck to, what he's looking at. And then I'm going to indent this so you know that everything following here has to do with this surface. Don't know why I'm doing display. Alright, so also I forgot about this. We're going to go back to the create event and we're going to do all of our D3D start and yeah, I'll just put that there. And then I'm going to save the draw set color to white here instead of the create event. Just in case I change it later, this ensures that it changes back to white for 3D drawing. And then draw clear, and then the color. Basically what this does, draw clear, we go to our room and we go to backgrounds. It's basically just like this checkbox right here. What this checkbox does, and if you uncheck it, you guys can test this out in one of your own games. Basically every time a step runs, the drawing event runs this and it draws a giant box over the whole screen in this given color to basically cover up what was previously drawn. Then it draws all your objects and whatnot on top of that. So if you uncheck this box, it's not going to cover up the previous steps, so your game is going to smear. It's going to keep drawing your stuff on top of what you did before. So basically the same thing applies to a surface, and what draw clear does is draw basically a giant box, whatever color you put in there. So the color I'm going to say is background color, and so that'll have the same effect as that. So it'll cover up previous 3D drawings, and yeah. Alright, and now we're going to put some variables up here. CamX equals object player dot x, CamY equals object player dot y. Oh, dang it, stupid pop-up menu. Anyway, and CamZ equals object player dot z. Don't want these variable names too long because of my laziness. Yaw, and pitch equals object player dot pitch. Alright, so now we can actually do the D3D set projection, and then it's coming from camera X, Y, and Z, and then the 2 for the X position, cam X plus cosine degrees to radians, and that is going to be yaw, and then we're going to multiply it by the cosine of the pitch, subject rad pitch. Yep, and then cam Y minus sine deg to rad yaw times cosine deg to rad pitch. Z plus cosine dectrad pitch. Alright, and now for the up vectors, normally I do 0, 0, 1, but here I'm going to show you guys that you can actually have, you know, an actual vector in there. And the reason why I have to add this is because I made the pitch limit to 90 and negative 90, meaning we can be looking perfectly up or perfectly down. You know, you don't want the up vector to be up on the z-axis when we're going to look perfectly up, and then, you know, it won't know exactly where to put up. Alright, so the way to think about this for the up vector is that if you were to be looking upwards, up from your perspective would be behind you as you're, you know, looking up. So instead of plus cosine yaw, it's going to be minus cosine yaw, because that would be the opposite direction. And then instead of negative sine, it's going to be regular sine. And then for the z, anything with pitch, if it was sine, it's going to be cosine. If it was cosine, it's going to be sine. So dectrad pitch, and then make sure you have this in parentheses. But so these were cosine pitch, so now it's going to be sine pitch. And this should allow us to look perfectly up and down. And then again, have this in parentheses, and I'm gonna indent all of these just to make the code prettier to look at. That way you can see it's all in the set project. Alright, so now we're on the part where the real magic happens, and first add the semicolon there. Anyway, this is where all the drawing for the objects happen. So we're going to do a for loop, for I equals 0, I is less than instance count I plus equals 1. And then inside that, we're going to have a variable for your instances. That is inst equals instance ID, and then I. Basically what this does is this right here, instance ID, gives you the ID of you know, the first instance in the room, the second instance in the room, yada yada. So as this goes through a loop, going through every single instance in the room, it's going to get the ID. And then here is where we're actually going to draw all the stuff. So now we're going to say if inst, so our instance dot object index, so we get the actual what type of object it is, equals, and then here whatever we want it, we're doing this for. So in this case, object box. Then we're going to have this, and so we set up the projection, and then after that we go through every item and we draw them. So the 3D draw block, x minus 16, y minus 16, z minus 16, x plus 16, y plus 16, z plus 16. Texture ID is going to be text box, and we're going to repeat it one time. and semicolon, of course. Alright, so there's a couple things I was wrong with now that I'm thinking about it. First off, the object camera does not need to have the highest depth, because the purpose for the highest depth for any other 3D game is to make sure that that object is drawn first, to make sure that the set projection happens first. But look here, it's guaranteed to happen first, so you don't really need to have, you know, this high number there. The second thing is, I was being stupid when I made this a global variable, the text box, because I was thinking that, you know, it would be used for every single thing, but again, this is the only thing doing the drawing, so it doesn't really need to be a global variable. You just have your objects handle all the textures and whatnot, and you'll be good. So basically, just repeat this right here. You say else if instant object index equals something else, then you do the drawing event for that something else. And so this all gets drawn to the surface, and then surface reset target. Now we need to actually draw this surface onto the screen. Whoa, before we do that, we need to change this. Can't just say x minus 16, we have to say int.x. We have to make sure, because x is just the camera's x location, but we want this to be for these objects. Almost would have had problems there. Alright, so it's x, it's y, it's that. Alright, that should be good. Now we can do the draw event. So we're going to go to draw. D3D set projection ortho, since it's a 2D view. 0, 0, room width, room height, 0. And then after that is where we're going to actually draw the surface.